record reflect, time is 3:30. I am going to call today's meeting of the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, so everybody stand and recite with me. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. Public comment. Do we have any citizens who wish to be heard today? If so, please stand. Yes, we have one. Here, ma'am, if you would like to step up to the podium, please. And if you could state your name and address for the record and let us know the reason for your comment.
Yes. Hi, my name is Terry Darby. I'm here to address the authority because I was granted a grant for a project, and I wasn't satisfied with the contractor's work. I have pictures of some of the performance that he left. I have some things, nails that were left that my grandchildren are finding in the yard. He wasn't professional at all. I wasn't awarded the rest of another contractor to finish the project. I just don't feel that I was treated fairly in this because I spoke up for myself because of the performance of the contractor.
And did you state the address of the property?
1249 East 31st Street, Erie, 16504.
Okay.
My first thing about it is that when I was presented with this with the inspector, that it was to my understanding that myself, the contractor, and the inspector and I were going to sign the contract together and go over it in agreement. That did not happen. The contractor wasn't there. Okay?
And could you explain what type of work was being performed, what type of grant this was
A
for?
roof.
Just so we...
There was a roof. I was supposed to have some windows, basement windows replaced, some work done in my bathroom that needed to be done. There is a leak in my main bedroom, and it's still leaking, but I was told not to call him unless it rained totally through my ceiling. And I've left it alone because I don't know what to do. I was given 15 days to find another contractor, and I was under the impression that they were going to, the redevelopment were going to also help me find a contractor. That didn't happen. I called Leon Construction. He came in on, and I was to do this during the Labor Day weekend. That was the 15 days. I called Leo Construction in, and he came in on August the 5th. Going through and explaining to him the work that I needed done, he stopped me and asked how was I funding this, and I told him that I was a grant from the redevelopment. He stopped, told me he was not going to continue with the walkthrough for me because he was not going to deal with the redevelopment because he was not going to be the lowest bidder on the job. He was not going to continue to go out for bids for them. So he left, and here I am.
And when was the grant awarded?
Go ahead. April.
And you mentioned
April the 24th, the contract was signed. He was allowed, he was given from that time until June to start the work, but I was given 15 days to find a contractor.
And who was the original contractor?
Titanium Construction.
Aaron, do you happen to know, are you familiar with this particular property? And
Yes.
Are you aware of the issues?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, we can provide the board with a timeline and all the details associated with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I guess where do things currently stand from the redevelopment authority?
We had a meeting in the office We put the project back out to bid with our pool contractors. We received no bids. We left it on Ms. Darby to try to secure another contractor outside of our pool contractors to complete the work, and we haven't received any other bids at this time.
Listen,
Okay, go ahead,
a
Ms.
friend of mine, Selena King, was aware of what was going on. I was supposed to be at another engagement with her, which I didn't attend because I was dealing with this issue, okay? So she extended herself out to me to get a friend of hers that is a licensed contractor with all the credentials, and he said that he wasn't going to be able to start the work until October if the city would allow him that time. So I'm not sure if he was able to even put his bid in. I don't know what happened with it, but I do know that there was another contractor that was willing to do the work for me.
Okay, do you remember the name of that contractor?
His name is Brian,
Hammond?
I forgot his last name, I'm sorry.
Brian Hammond?
I'm thinking so.
Is that it?
I'm thinking that's who it is. My phone's over here. I can pull up the emails and messages. But he was willing, he is and was willing to do the work provided that he was given the time. And he tried to submit I sent the bid contract over to them and the scope of work over to him. He accepted it, but I don't know what happened in that time frame. Like I said, here I am. I'm confused. My room ceiling is still deteriorating. Everything, if the rain is just coming, it's going to cave in. I'm stuck.
Okay. So in terms of the grant, so there's funds set aside for this project.
There was funds allocated and on hold for the project, for the contract that was awarded.
Okay.
The roof was completed, and then there was some issues between the contractor and the client, and we tried to mitigate those, and the contractor was unwilling to return to the property to complete the work because of
He had to come
disagreements
back.
between
I'm
him
sorry,
and the
I don't mean
homeowner.
to interrupt you, but he did have to come back to the roof because it was indeed still leaking. I informed you guys that my roof was still leaking. He did have to come back. He went up and I guess sealed around the flash, as you will. That's what he said. But I still have a problem in my attic that he's aware of. And he told me that was my problem. It was a plumbing issue. Not even addressing me of what the issue is here. I'm still wondering where this water is coming from.
Okay. And it's coming, I guess, you're experiencing water coming in even without rain?
With rain.
Oh, with rain.
With
Okay.
the rain.
Okay.
This was the part, this is why,
Right, understood.
We instructed Ms. Darby when she was present in the office with the contractor to call it. The contractor made a couple attempts to return to the property, inspected the roof, could not find any obvious issue that would cause a leak to the property. Ms. Darby was to call the contractor when it was actively raining and you could see water coming in, so he could try to trace it back. That was the last conversation I recall.
Okay.
because
having
he
in
told,
regards to
I'm
the
sorry,
roof.
he told me not to call unless the water leaks come through my roof to my floor. Unless I saw water dripping to my floor, not to contact him.
And that was what the contractor
that's
told
it.
you after the meeting at the Redevelopment
This
Authority?
was after.
And I'm assuming, Aaron, that wasn't the understanding that was come to during the meeting?
No.
It was
And
just,
I'm unaware
when
of
it was
if that
raining,
conversation
call the
was had.
contractor, the
And I
contractor.
did that.
Yeah, like the contractor was fine with warrantying the roof.
Sure.
But he made several, two attempts that I'm aware of to go out to identify a leak at the property, was unable to identify it, but needed to come to the property when it was actively leaking to see if he could figure out where the water was coming in. And that's the last conversation we had regarding the property in the office.
Okay. Have we had communications that's Titanium? Is that construction? Is that the contractor that
Yes.
we're talking about? And we've been in contact and he's been
He's an
responsive?
active contractor
Okay.
for the redevelopment authority.
Is there a way that we can, I don't know if it's a communication issue between the homeowner and Titanium, and I know, in this particular instance, is there something that we can do to make those arrangements?
The contractor does not want to return to the property to do any additional work. He would warranty the roof, but he does not want to do any additional
Right.
work for the
If it's,
homeowner.
if we're talking about, I think correct me if I'm wrong, But the issue is at least the major concern is a leaking roof, correct?
Well, he's saying that it's not his problem, it's something going on in my attic from some piping in my attic, but he hasn't even fully discussed with me what that problem is. He told me it's not his problem, it's a plumbing issue, I needed to call a plumber. What am I calling a plumber for? But I'm still getting this water in my bedroom every time it rains.
So it's,
It's still,
if it's raining, the water comes in.
the
If
water,
it's not
it
raining,
starts bubbling. When it dries, I guess it dries up, but then when it starts raining, this is the bubbling and the browning that I'm getting. This is what I'm continually getting in my
Okay.
bedroom.
Ms. Darby, was that damage evident prior to the roof repair?
Yes, this is a part of the project. From, my bedroom was a part
Right,
of
but
the
the roof,
leaking.
the damage occurred prior to the roof replacement. But you're
No,
saying that it's
this
still
is-
actively leaking?
This still this is what I'm getting every time it rains. I just took these pictures 2-3 days ago, and it's getting worse now.
Well,
As you see, it's
but we didn't
cracked.
repair the walls, so.
No,
the
they
damage occurred
never
prior
did
to
the
it.
rest of it, no. So
Okay.
I don't, like I said, he's saying that it's not the roof, it's something
Mi-
going.
Ms. Darby, can you have a contractor come out and look at the roof and identify where it's leaking and get an estimate for the repairs for the current
Why
leak?
should-
And then we can mitigate it with the contractor to see what we can do to take care of the issue with the roof?
Whatever I need to do, I just need to, I know that my projects need to be finished. I was very, very appreciative of this. The inspector knows that and how important this work is to me, you know, for my home and my grandchildren, okay? And for me and for right now, for my grandchildren to be playing in the yard and finding these rusty nails.
Question, do we have someone on staff that could kind of look at it and make a determination?
Yeah, we have inspectors who
Okay.
look at it, but they, I mean, again, unless they're out there when it's actively raining to see where the roof is, and to have them drive into a project on a evening or a weekend or whatever if it's raining, but I mean, they would go out there during the day if it was raining and inspect the property. I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility, that's what they do, so.
yeah, because it sounds like it's identifying what the issue is. So we've got, Ms. Darby, we've got the roof
is-
issue.
And this is what my grandchildren are picking up out the yard. This is nails because of this, the work being with tar all just like along the thing. And when he was asked where the dumpster was, he didn't even give the answer. So, and all from him using a wheelbarrow and them just, you know, wheelbarrowing this stuff. I have all these tar spots in my driveway and stuff now. I mean,
Miss-
not professional, all in front of my home. That's where they were dumping the wheelbarrow over into this fixture, and it just wasn't
Darby?
fair. Spots in my, I mean, I just don't think that he was very professional. Water bottles down in my chimney, my car mirror. I was told to park my car on my street, which I can park my car on either side of my street. Cars can go up and down. Never had an issue. I've been there 6 years. I parked my car. Now, one of the contractors, I don't know who, I didn't see, I don't know. But I do know that it happened at that time. It's common sense. My driver's side mirror knocked off in the street. Nobody wanted to do it. I gotta sue this contractor, sue that contractor. I just don't think that, and then the water bottles knocked down in my chimney. Oh, I shouldn't have got upset about that because it wasn't the furnace. Come on. Would any of you guys accept that kind of work being done at your home?
Aaron, you were saying?
I was going to say, Ms. Darby, if you can call the office and schedule a time that the inspectors and I will go out with them and we will try to determine where your roof is leaking, if it is leaking, and come to a solution there, and then we can follow up on your file. But again, we need a contractor who's willing to provide us a price to complete the project because we failed to receive any
Well, I don't
communication.
know of any contractor
by the end of
because I
September.
tried to call one out and they didn't want to. So I'm stuck. I don't want to call people and I don't know. I'm not
Do we have other?
experienced in this area.
Yeah, do we have other licensed, like, contractors that we can
We have about 15 contractors who could perform the work, and it was sent
Right.
out to all those contractors, and we were unable to secure an additional bid for the project.
How about this? What about a contractor who may not be able to bid, but could do a visual inspection, confirm, yes, this is part of the roof, no, this is not. I know that might be outside the purview. You might have limited success with getting a contractor to do that.
Yeah, we can absolutely work through Ms. Darby's concerns.
Yeah.
It's just communication with the office needs to be there. I mean, we certainly can't address a concern without, the ability to understand that the issue exists and to have clear and concise communication between both parties. I mean, we're certainly willing, we have the staff and the expertise needed to address and identify any issue within a home. We have to have the ability to facilitate that within a professional manner. So.
Right, so Ms. Darby, the issue is the roof, obviously, there may be still leaking, so the roof, but that's titanium construction and their warranty if it is a roof-related issue. What other open items are there that need to be addressed?
Well, I still need my windows replaced. My bathroom flooring is about to cave in. There's supposed to be ventilation put in my bathroom as well. They were supposed to be carbon monoxide detectors put in.
Okay.
There's some,
There was a complete Healthy Homes scope written on the property
Okay.
through the Healthy Homes program. Again, we signed a contract, issues between the homeowner and the contractor. Homeowner wished to cancel, well, the homeowner didn't wish to cancel the contract. The contractor was unwilling to revisit the property and complete the work, so therefore the contract was voided out at that point. And that's where we entered into trying to identify an additional contractor who would provide us a price.
So just to confirm then, the only work that was done was the roof?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Did the other contract, was it Hammond that we said?
no, he was to put in, he was going to bid for the job.
Okay.
But I don't know if he was able to get his paperwork submitted or what have you.
He's not an active
He and
contractor
Selena were
with us at
talking
this
about
time.
it, so I don't know if he's on their active list or not. Selena King helped me find him, so I don't know right now.
Yeah, he hasn't been an active contractor with the authority in probably 10 or 11 years, so.
In instances like that, I mean, if there is somebody that's outside of, I guess, the approved list, like, can exceptions be made in those circumstances?
Yes, we just
Okay.
require the same, I mean, it's not a
Insurance.
lead hazard or a
Right.
lead abatement project, therefore, general insurance and state licensing requirements come into play, and we can sign a contract with any contractor if
Okay.
those requirements are met, so.
Okay.
Again, I think it just comes down to communication and scheduling to rectify the situation. So.
All right, well then, I guess, are you gonna just take the lead with Ms. Darby, reach out to her, set up an appointment for her to
Yeah.
come in and, okay.
Perfect.
Is that okay with you, Ms. Darby, if Aaron reaches out to schedule a meeting? Because I think it is a communication issue, and I think, the work obviously needs to get done, so. All right. Do you have any other, oh, go ahead.
If there is another contractor, Mr. Hammond, I think there needs to be some type of communication between you.
Yes,
and-
between everybody.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can get that done. It's
Yes,
easy.
yes.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay. Good?
Do you have any other questions?
No,
Okay.
I just would like to,
Yeah, Aaron will reach out to you, get the dialogue going, have you come in. I don't know if you necessarily need to come in for a meeting, but I think, one of the important things is like when it's raining out to get, your people out there to inspect.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Any other citizen comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll move on. I guess, is there a motion, or can there be a motion on the floor for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the October 13 regular meeting. Is there a motion on the floor, or can there be a motion on the floor?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Brings us to the finance report.
Thank you. So first in your packet is the profit and loss. It is detailed out, so it's 6 pages long. And I guess I would like your guidance on whether you wanted a more compressed version of this where it only has the accounts listed without the specific breakdown of the grants below that, or if you wanted to continue with the 6-page report. It's either way is completely fine with me. But we are showing interest income through October 31st of $57,814.07. The loan program interest that we received earlier this year was the $200,000. That's the Ironworks Square loan. Grant revenue was separated out. That is mostly county projects that we had received funding for, and then ARPA is below that at 1.46 million. And then the LHRD, we had received $665,523.07 so far. So then that brings us to a net income of $240,605.58. Beyond that is the balance sheet. So it has all of our accounts that are currently with Erie Bank for RACE, LHRD, ARPA, and then the Erie Neighborhood Growth Partnership, which we are currently extracting into its own QuickBooks for reporting purposes. The accounts receivable, we had over 154,000 in there. That was all county projects for Whole Home, Act 137, McCain Township, and the child care. And then I have the check detail. So that was all of the checks that were written out of our accounts with the descriptions. And then after that is the budget versus actuals through the end of October.
I wanted to mention that April and I had an opportunity to chat a little bit on Friday then, so I was really pleased with a lot of the progress that's being made. And a couple observations. The first report, which is 6-page, lists a lot of information out, and she has the opportunity to present this with just the totals as opposed to office expense by grants,
Right.
sort of like that. So I was on the fence. Doesn't hurt to have the detail, but sometimes you can get lost in the details. So something to think about. I also was really pleased that on the check register we're seeing the memos, a lot of detail in memo. Then took a little trial and error, but she got that done, which is very helpful. So it kind of reduces any questions there. So that was an accomplishment this month. Happy to see that then. And then, of course, the final report, budgets versus actual, gives us a nice opportunity to compare actual numbers against what was planned. So we've made considerable progress since the last time we spoke, and for which I'm grateful. And just to kind of throw it out, we also talked a little bit about, we'll be preparing, or she'll be preparing with Aaron, the budget for next year, the 2026 calendar year budget then. And I suggested we might want to have just a brief study session. Sometimes the study is less about approving the budget and more about educating the board as to what the sources and uses are all about. I think in a couple of years, some of our revenue streams are going to start shrinking in, and talking about what that looks like in terms of finding funds to replace the ARPA funds so that we can continue the operation becomes, I think, important. And I forget what the timing of that is, but it'd be good to get a year or so ahead of that then, because you can't flip the switch overnight on those sort of business sort of things then. So if I would recommend that we maybe before we disperse today, I know we've talked about at least one other study session, executive session, but I would want one largely dedicated to the budget prior to our December meeting then. So.
No, I think that's fair, and it's something as April and I were working on that budget today, and it is very complex when you start looking at the different grants and the different revenues and just everything that's got to be captured into one thing. It is a lot, and it's a lot to say, hey, at the December board meeting, here it is, take a look at it. So I think, it would be prudent of us to have that study session. So whether we do it in person, via Zoom, however if we can find some time to an hour, hour and a half to sit down and go through that. I mean, something I think we can do in our office, or if anybody else wants to hold it in their office, but if we can find a time, we can all get together for that, would be great.
Always come out to Edinburgh, you don't fall off, it's passing 90, you know. You don't fall off the cliff.
There's a little snow out there, Chuck.
Do we have any questions on any of the financial reports? Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to approve pending audit?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on, we have our solicitor's report.
Sorry, if I could just,
Okay, go ahead.
your guidance on
Oh,
the format for the first one?
The format, if we want to talk
you rather
about
have it
format, so.
condensed?
I guess in terms of direction, I guess, does the board have any thoughts, getting back to these financial reports, on having the detail as they are, as it's laid out currently, as opposed to just moving the statement of activity to just totals? Now, one thing that I did, I guess, have a question on, April, is when we're getting into these reports, we talked about this in the past, is if we can also have a column that shows us, I guess, at this time last year, kind of where things stood.
Yeah.
Is that something that can easily be incorporated into these reports? Because I know that on other boards, I guess I'm used to seeing something like that, so I'm comparing, okay, yeah, here's what happened last year versus this year. Now, I get that if we're going to have all of this detail, that's going to be completely unwieldy and probably wouldn't be a good idea. So that might, kind of redirect how we look at this too. So I don't know if there's a way that maybe we can look and see how, and I'm assuming it can be generated just through QuickBooks pretty easily, where we have that column added, and then we can kind of see, okay, having all the detail, it's probably going to take it from 6 pages to probably 12 pages, which probably won't function for us. But if we can see maybe even just that from year to year, the change in the totals, maybe that would be helpful for everyone to see.
I think swapping out the, shrinking the detail but having history
Right.
would
Yeah.
probably be more beneficial
Because
there.
it's very difficult just to kind of see.
Because we can't keep adding and adding, because you'll never get everything done.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so as we prioritize, I think that those comparison, and again, it's not as much as worried about the financials, but when there is a change or lack of change sometimes in the financial, where you expected to draw down money and money wasn't drawn down, that would be a signal to us that there was a delay in a program delivery. And what does that mean as a board? Can we help to move that program along or something like that? These are just indicators that help us with the program delivery as well.
So does anybody on the board have any, I guess, preference for how these reports are generated in terms of total, more detail, less detail? Any thoughts?
I mean, I like the, more concise on the detail. Maybe if there's a certain line item that looks out of whack, we could request, broken out
Sure.
version as a follow-up. But I think that might be good to have more concise, but then that comparison year to date again,
Okay.
so we're not killing a whole tree.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Okay. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then if there's nothing else on the finance report, then we'll move on to Gene and the solicitor's report.
Good afternoon, Board. As you can see from the report, we're starting to narrow our scope and tick off a number of matters. For example, 314 Walnut Street, it's been rehabilitated. We've effectuated and signed the deed back, so that is one that's completely been rehabilitated and transferred back to the property owner. So you'll see that that'll be coming off. Much like 207 West 3rd Street, that is, they're finishing up the rehabilitation process. It's another successful rehabilitation. So it's important I think, for the board to know, with property owners, working with Aaron and his his group, it can be accomplished. There's always going to be someone who's fighting the process and doesn't want to follow the procedures and the protocols, but they're in place and they do work. So I want to again thank you, Aaron, and his team for helping make sure that these rehabilitations stay on track and we're able to get them across the finish line.
In both these rehabilitations, they went through the condemnation process. It was stopped, entered into the agreements. They paid the attorney's fees. They paid everything that they needed to pay under those agreements, and they get the property back once they finish the work.
And they worked with Kyle and the different people within Aaron's department to follow all the requirements and the mandates, and we're able to get it done. So, and it's important for the board to understand that, because you're going to have people who are going to come to you and say, "Why are you always fighting me on this?" Well, if you follow the procedures and the protocol, it can work. It can work. So, I also want to bring your attention to 324 East 22nd Street. Again, this was a process where we were successful at the Board of View. We were successful in trial before Judge Piccinini. There has been an appeal that's been filed, and that's going to happen before the Commonwealth Court. This is a single issue appeal as to whether the proper measure of damages were followed by, first of all, the Board of View, and then also by Judge Piccinini. And there is no question that the proper measure of damages were used.
So it's more of a
those
matter of
findings.
process, not new information or anything like that.
That is exactly correct. Okay. That's exactly correct. So, and the measure of damages is followed by statute, and that's what was done here, again, up to this point. So, with the Commonwealth Court, we're now at a point where we wait to hear back from them. They will issue a scheduling order that will say when they are to receive documentation. So this is going to stay on my report, but not much in the way of action for the next number of months. And then I'll keep you posted as to when we hear from the Commonwealth Court.
Has any hearing date been scheduled? Nothing?
No, they haven't even issued an order for the record to be transferred. So it's, again, it's a government entity. The Commonwealth Court, as you know, they handle government actions. So it's going to be slow. It's certainly going to. There are two subdivisions that I'm working with internally in the city of Erie, the subdivision on 9th and Cherry, and then also now Locust Street. So I'm working with the appropriate individual now here in City Hall to move those forward. So I'll keep you posted as we push those forward. It made sense for us to use both, to track both of these together. So now we're in a position to do that. The final one, it's important for this board to understand where we stand with a number of agreements. We have two closing schedules. The ones that are not definitively set, there are issues that we're working through to be able to schedule those. Exoneration of taxes, and then also exoneration of any inheritance tax. That's not on all of them, but those are the two issues that might play on any of these properties. So we're looking to push these forward so that we can get them closed as quickly as possible. With that, if you have any questions, by all means, let me know, but I am delighted that the list is shrinking. Now, I understand that it's going to be peaks and valleys and there's going to be cycles, but I want the board to see, look, we're making progress. We're getting things done. We're getting what we can across the finish line, and we're pushing the others to get to that point as well. With that, that's all I have.
This was a 2.5, 3-page report.
Yes, it was.
You're working your way out of a job if you don't.
I know
You slow down.
that would be a wonderful thing.
Any questions for Gene from the board? All right, thank you, Gene. Aaron, your report, general updates, information.
Yeah, so I provided the report, and the board, feel free to read through it at your leisure. I know it's good, reading to get you to go to bed, as Gene always says. So, Historic Review Commission, Parks Plan, working with the city Department of Planning and Neighborhood Resources on that. We're also working the Erie Neighborhood Growth Partnership, working to try to continue working with the planning department on that and how we can continue to engage the public and use that to move forward. We did submit the LHRD 2020 closeout report to HUD. So we have successfully closed it out, but we wait on HUD to reopen to probably officially close that out. So that'll go through. A bunch of other stuff going on. Met with Habitat for Humanity. They're really looking for some lots within the city of Erie. So providing them a bunch of different areas within town where we have some lots that they could potentially get some housing. So I'll follow up with you once we have some more conversations regarding that. But the big one is, I've been working with Tom Hardy from Altair and EMTA to close out our RACP grant. Construction is finished. They are just waiting on a subcontractor to submit a final invoice. The contract goes through the end of November, so this morning I signed a extension request to the state to extend it out a few months so that we can finalize that RACP grant and then finally be done with that grant from 2007, I believe. So it's probably going to be in the record book for the state of the longest RACP grant, but we will get it done, and it has done a lot. I can put together a report for the board to explain all the different projects that grant was involved in over the years. Also provide you what it was originally going to do, but it's changed over the years, but it's good that it's finally coming to a close, but it has made a substantial impact in the Griswold Park area since its award back in the early 2000s. So that's my report. So unless there's anything else on there that, and I did provide for the board the proposed Erie Land Bank budget, which will be presented to the Land Bank board next Monday. I know we had talked about how, just to keep the Redevelopment Authority board updated on where the land bank is. And so we were awarded, the Erie County Land Bank appropriated $400,000 in funding for our 2026 work plan. It was $100,000 less than I had requested. However, the board's under new leadership at the county. They're looking at, we can come to them for specific project requests for rehabilitation or environmental abatement. So we essentially took those out of the work plan and will take those on a case-by-case basis to that board for a request if that comes along. So they're just trying to streamline some things. They're working with a different accountant under that new leadership and that. So there's just cleaning some stuff up. So, but still all good things and moving forward, business as usual there. So.
Any questions? And just so I can understand, like when you have the proposed budget for the Erie Land Bank, like I guess because a lot of this, to me, it's a lot of shared expenses, correct?
So yeah, so when you look at this, you're really, the main one that comes over to the Redevelopment Authority under the management agreement is the payroll expenses. The staff of the Redevelopment Authority covers 100% of the staffing of the Erie Land Bank. So that's one of it. And then when you look at when you look at kind of the budget versus actual, or no, the statement of activity, there's certain categories where it's Erie Land Bank, and that's because there's things we have to use the Redevelopment Authority credit card to purchase on behalf of the land bank, so the land bank reimburses it. So it's roughly, what do we say, $20,000? So on top of the payroll expenses that can't be paid with just general check out of the land bank account. So the land bank reimburses that, but there is, so.
And they share things like I'm looking at software expense, and that's decreased because of no longer having Blackbaud. We're down to QuickBooks.
Yes.
And so lesser expense there.
Less expense there. Software expense there is PPS, the property management system for the land bank. And Redevelopment Authority shares that cost as well because we use it for all of our properties. Yeah. So
is that how do you determine that shared cost? Like, is it just like split? Is it?
Yeah. What is it now? We use roughly. We basically get it off of the budget.
Yeah.
And the percentage there.
Okay.
It was like 20-some%.
1/5.
Yeah, 1/5, okay.
And how is 1/5 determined?
Well,
Sorry, don't mean to drill down too deeply.
no. So when that was determined, we had 10 employees, and roughly 2 of our employees would have been considered like almost full-time
Okay,
dedication to the land bank, even though the majority of staff puts time toward the land bank in bits and pieces at varying percentages, which we had anywhere from like 3% to 40% of time.
okay.
So it was mostly just allocated time.
So a time study was done at some time, and that's looked at annually, adjusted plus or minus, or?
Yes, so and that's, one thing on my report, we had a land bank summit, Erie Land Bank Summit, where we brought all the board members together. As you know, we appointed Dana Dickerson to the Land Bank Board, and then Chris Groner resigned, so the mayor appointed a new member there. So we had 2 new members. I felt it was a good time to bring them all together. We went through all of the origination documents, up through policies and procedures, bylaws, all of that. And as part of that, they questioned kind of the same thing. What was the hours, and how did the redevelopment authority staffing percentages look to, the land bank? And so our timesheets, if you've never seen them, are extremely detailed, and they're broken out. And Corey does a fabulous job with helping April break that all out by the different grants and different person. And so we have every percentage to which every employee puts toward the land bank. And so we presented that to them, kind of walked through that and showed. And it's been a good tool because, I took it to the county land bank meeting and showed them too how, because everyone always questions, the large administrative burden for our land bank activities and a lot of our activities in general. But property acquisition and the work we do for the land bank and blight mitigation, they're administratively heavy. So there's a big labor burden there that typically, when we're talking LHRD and grant funds, we spend a substantial amount of funding direct to the contractor, so that offsets our burden, but where we don't in land banking and blight acquisition, so.
So how does that, I guess, because you see a line item for condemnation acquisition, so how do you determine what gets condemned by the redevelopment authority versus the land bank? Is that?
So under the work plan we put together each year on the land bank is 2 sections, tax sale acquisition and then blight acquisition. And so tax sale list being first, we look at that, and we're looking at that right now as the judicial tax sale is in December. We have it honed down to about 20 properties, plus or minus, or probably minus 1 or 2, depending upon who pays taxes. And then we always look at kind of pulling a few high priority properties or high sensitive property or areas of the city off of the blighted list. And so I think this year we're budgeting for 4 properties. And so then those ones will be allocated as, and this is where it gets a little detailed, is that we have to remember as we work on a property, who is the end user, who's the end deed holder on that property. And so the land bank will present properties to the land bank board. These are properties based upon what they have provided us as far as where they want us to look. Here's the 4 properties. They motion to request the redevelopment authority acquire those properties on their behalf through condemnation, and then we will bring those properties through the blighted property process, ultimately ending in a resolution in front of this board for acquisition under eminent domain and condemnation.
And then those payments then would be funding the redevelopment authority, so the monies that you're earmarking for that would just get paid over?
Yes,
Okay.
so then the redevelopment authority would build the land bank for.
So redevelopment authority is the one that's going through the process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we had a property on West 19th Street, the redevelopment authority was in the process of condemnation. The owner, the condemnee, came to the table, and we ended up settling out for just compensation. He did a deed in lieu of condemnation, and the board approved that, and ultimately the just compensation came from the land bank to the redevelopment authority, from the redevelopment authority to the condemnee.
Okay. I'm just curious. So. All right. Any other questions for Aaron? If not, then we can move on to unfinished business and new business. Housing rehabilitation report.
All right. So probably our best news is that 2 new grants are live. The CDBG 4Z, that is specific match to our lead grant. Hugely helpful because we have some projects that they need a roof or something that needs to be done before we can do lead work, because a leaking roof would compromise the integrity of lead work being done, so we need to do the roof first. We didn't have funds to do that. That's what CD4Z is exactly for. It's used to supplement those projects to make it so it becomes a viable lead project because we're able to address the other needs within the home. The EOH grant it's the county's, it's not a huge one. We're only probably gonna get maybe 2 or 3 projects out of it, and that is at county planning's discretion, but I have submitted my recommendations for projects to them and just waiting for approval to come back to move forward with those. Lead program's progressing well. We're a little behind on completed units, mostly because we were still completing units under the old grant when the new grant went live. But we are on track with assessed units, so I don't think that we're going to have huge difficulty catching up those units over time. Nearly all of our ARPA Healthy Homes projects are either finished or under contract. So I've got an actual realistic idea of remaining funds. I think we'll be able to do at least 10 more units, possibly a few more, depending on project costs, which is really exciting because, we had goaled doing 100 units at the beginning of this ARPA funding, and so far we've already completed 145. And we have another 5 that are either under contract already or are close. So I think we'll get between 160, 165 total by the time it's all said and done. Whole home also going well. All but 2 of the originally awarded projects are completed, and one of the 2 remaining is already under contract. We've been recently green-lighted by the county to move forward with an additional 8, and Anna is working on getting those folks moving forward. Same with county in-home childcare grant, 19 approved. That was also goaled at 15, so we've exceeded that as well. And more than half of those are also complete. We had another RRP training class at ECAT in October that was well attended. It was a Saturday class by request. Outreach we continue to do 2 days a week at the UPMC Center, which now, starting in October, April and I will be splitting, or not April, geez, you want to come do a day too? Anna and I are splitting 1 day apiece. And Anna also did an extraordinary job doing a display and tabling down at the Blackville Library for National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. So that was the last full week of October, and she did a really nice job with it. And we're still doing risk assessments for the Housing Authority, which we were going to bump up to doing 2 per week now, but now we have a glitching XRF gun, so. But we are going to try to move forward with at least doing 2 per week for them until those 55 units are complete. I think that's about all. Worked on some historical data for Aaron, which I'm sure he will share with you guys in time, but it was really eye-opening for me and really impressive in terms of Redevelopment Authority impact on the community over the years, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much we've really done, so I was very proud to be part.
So I saw in the Erie Times News there was going to be some delays on grants, but did that affect the authority at all? They listed out a dozen different grants, and some seem to be closely related to some of the programs.
So all of the funding that we have, with the exception of FAIR, we're under contract even with FAIR. So those funds are allocated, the funding is there, it's from previous funding years. So it's sitting somewhere in someone's coffers and we're able to draw off of it. In regards to the LHRD grant, as in past times when the government was shut down, they're essentially operating on management personnel only. They do approve lock straws fairly quickly. It's all the other administrative requests that could take months, but they do process payment requests. So we're no risk there. Like I said, the FAIR grants, the grants are agreements are signed, and we're just waiting on those deposits to hit the bank account. So, but I would assume those funds are sitting in a bank account somewhere, just ready to be allocated over. So I don't foresee any issue, and we're full steam ahead with applying for additional grant funds as NOFOs come out. So
Very fortunate compared to my state-funded friends.
Yes, and anyone in the housing authority realm, when I was in Lancaster, just hearing housing authority individuals speak about all their trials and issues, it's just, so.
I will say, since you said housing authority, I almost forgot. Along with the county housing authority and the health department, we tabled at, there was this landlord expo that was held at St. Martin Center, and it was almost 90 people attended it, so it was really, really well attended, and I've had a couple follow-ups from landlords who were present about enrolling in program, which is exciting because we're always looking for new landlords to want to work with us, particularly for the lead program. So that was a really good event. We didn't know what to expect. We'd never done it before, and it was a really good event.
And just one comment, and I just thought of it, you know, when you look at this list on the front page of Holly's report, as far as grants, and to Ms. Darby's point earlier, you know, a lot of our clients and a lot of the grants, a lot of it depends on the guidelines to which the grant is and to what we can do to a property. And so sometimes it's not necessarily what the homeowner wants, it's what the grant permits. So a lot of times there is a lot of frustration that comes from our clients in that they didn't get everything they wanted, but a lot of times our hands are tied with either the funding limitations or what the funding will pay for. So, you know, it's difficult sometimes, and certainly, you know, we do our best to fulfill everyone's wishes and needs, but sometimes we leave some things short on people's homes, but we address the most serious. That's kind of the process and procedures when it comes to a healthy homes program is it's health-related issues associated with the person who lives in the property and prioritize from highest priority to lowest priority. So we just start knocking off the top priorities until we run out of money, and then we have to stop. So certainly there's some things that they were told are issues, but we may not ultimately be able to address those. And we just try to address the most we can with our limited funding sources based upon each property. So just wanted to add that. So.
Thank you. Any other questions on the rehabilitation report? All right. Moving on, we have raised EDC loan modification.
Yeah, I put it on the agenda just so that it was on there. So if I reached out to Tina and Leah early last week. I haven't heard anything back yet. So I was just, again, I put it on the agenda in hopes that it would be an actionable item if I receive something at the last minute. So still no news. As soon as I hear something, I'll pass it on. And
Yeah,
Ethan's
looks like
involved
work's
in those.
ongoing there. I see new windows and everything else, so.
Yeah, so I think they're still trying to sort out the whole funding stack, so
Sure.
more to come.
Okay, and then it looks like we have a proposed resolution on this too, Aaron, the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for local share account.
Yeah, so week before last, I met with local DECD office along with Jackie from the planning office to talk through different grants, NAP for the ENGP, but then also LSA. And so certainly the city's applying for, I think, 9 LSA grants. But in looking at Redevelopment Authority as an eligible applicant, certainly, you know, one of the current programs that we have that would be acceptable under this would be the accessory structure demolition program. So something we've never applied for, but again, something we're eligible for. So application didn't look too daunting, so kind of thrown together a LSA application for $250,000 ask for accessory structure demolition. Certainly, I mean, short window, it's due by the end of November, it requires a board resolution for application. So just kind of throwing together an initial ask to try to get our feet in the water and see what we do. And it's a very political grant. It's not awarded until September of 2026. So put in the application and then spend the next 3 or 4 months, you know, reaching out and speaking to individuals, trying to, you know, get some push for it. But it's not a big ask, so hopefully, you know, something we can
Then
be awarded.
it says accessory structure demolition program, so, I mean, is it limited to accessory structures, or is it like, I mean, what are we permitted to use the funds for?
So our current accessory structure demolition program, which
Yeah.
is funded through $50,000 to the ENGP through the Community Foundation and $200,000 through FAIR, it says accessory structures, meaning garages, sheds, and fences. However, we don't know the need. And so right now, Anna put together the application, kind of a one-page info sheet. We're doing a soft rollout to neighborhood groups, neighborhood organizations, neighborhood watch groups to try to slowly get it in. Again, we don't want to bombard the office with 200 applications. But, you know, from the work that we do, we know dilapidated garages is a big issue across the city of Erie. We know it's something that code enforcement has an issue with every once in a while, so certainly we're letting code enforcement know, but it's specifically for the demolition of those sheds, garages, and we can address fences. We're going to focus really on garages because that's kind of the biggest focus on blight. So it's going to be touch and go, but we did say we're not going to do rehabilitation. We're not going to get into repairing a garage. If it's got a hole in the roof and it's collapsing, we're taking it down. If somebody wants it repaired, then we're just going to let them take care of it themselves, so.
Okay.
Is there a budget that normally gets, that's part of the application?
Yes,
The budget-
there is.
That might show fees, management fees, hopefully, or revenues.
Delivery fees.
Delivery fees,
Yes.
that's what they're called here.
Yes. Yeah, there is a set admin fee.
Always looking for a way to make some,
I'm
bring some
thinking
money
it's
in,
10%.
right?
I'm, because I know fair's 5.
Yeah,
and
if you
we're
would
dealing with
circulate
both
that, I
those
would,
right
I would
now.
appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, I can't, I think it was 40.
Yeah, do my job.
40 projects, 35 projects, I think I have budgeted in there at 250, so.
Okay. Yeah, let's take a look, if I'm sure this is gonna be fine, but I would like, as a treasurer, kind of looking
Yeah.
to see what kind of, the reward versus the risk and, how much time you put into it versus what you get out of it, sort of thing.
Right.
So would this be something where like the property owners would apply for this and then they would identify that they have a structure that they need
Yes.
to take care of? Okay.
Yes, so, yeah, simple, and this one, so there's a caveat with the LSA grant in that you have to have site control. However, it does say that you can have them sign an agreement acknowledging site control to the redevelopment authority, so that is good. That will be part of the application, in that we don't own the property, but the homeowner's gonna give us site control on for behalf of the
When
garage.
you look at the financial report, I mean, that's one of the huge expenditures that you guys have for the demo, just demo. So, I mean, if these properties become part of, the blight list, and then the redevelopment authority has to go in and do all the demo work, then it's all on our
Yeah.
dime.
Well, and that's one thing we don't have a lot of data on, is that accessory structures wouldn't deem a property as blighted, so we're not gonna, but it's something a lot of times when we
get
see,
into it, yeah.
it starts, or there's an overgrown backyard because they don't want to stare at their garage that's all the way in the back. I mean, and anyone who's ever driven through an alley in the city of Erie can see
Well,
accessory
and to
structures.
that point, this is exciting because so often dilapidated garages add to a crime in an alley situation here.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
removing, those impairments, of visual impairments, could make certain neighborhoods safer, just by the removal of that. So that's very exciting to carry this on.
Yeah. No, I think I'm excited to have the applications. Anna I think last Thursday, she went to a neighborhood watch meeting and pushed out the application, and today we talked about, putting it out to other people. So once this gets going, I think word of mouth, and I'm excited to see where the data is, and I think that was our big issue last year when we were reaching out to all the different funders, and even the community foundation. They wanted to know, well, what's the need? Well, we don't really have that. Unfortunately, Code Enforcement Office hasn't historically been tracking that data. It's hard to pull that out of their system, and so we don't have that. We know it exists, but we don't have it. And so hopefully with the amount of applications, we'll be able to say, hey, we addressed 50 garages, but we have another 300 we need to take care of. And so we'll have that next year when we go to the community foundation and the other funders, so.
So, Chuck, did I understand you correctly? Do you want that information before we?
No,
Okay.
just as a follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so it looks like we have a proposed resolution on the floor that's been drafted, circulated. I'm sure you all had an opportunity to review. Do we have anyone in support of that motion? All right, do we have a second?
I'll second. Sandy, please.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Who seconded?
That was
Andy.
Andy. And then the last order of business was the executive director evaluation. So I know that I circulated that a few weeks back. So Aaron reached out, submitted it to me, his evaluation, and then also sent out a supplemental document that kind of went through more detail on some of the projects, priorities and whatnot. So I circulated that to the board. We've been working, just so you know, Aaron and the rest of staff, we've been working to try to get an executive session, just sit down, review everything in line with the contract and work to address what we need to do on that. So we're still working. We were looking at it executive session on Friday. I don't know if that's going to be possible. If not this week, then we're going to push it into next week just to make sure that we get everybody on board and so we can get it addressed before the end of the year.
Okay. No, that's great, and if you need anything else, certainly let me
Yeah.
know. I can
Oh,
pull-
definitely. I
I can pull
appreciate
anything
that.
together and.
It was helpful. I saw the self-evaluation, and you kind of beat me to the punch when you sent the supplemental, because I was like, okay, can we get a little bit more detail on that? So that was helpful to see.
Yeah, that evaluation is just something that's, I've done 5 years in a row,
Right.
so it's just, yeah, so
Yep.
it was something we did 5 years ago and we just continued, so, but, yeah, so, yeah, I look forward to, if you need anything else from that and getting through that, but, budget study session and then the other, I'll probably reach out tomorrow or Wednesday to see about just, I'd like to, maybe a Zoom one evening, sometime to walk through the other, plan that I have
Okay.
before, we get too late into November, so.
Yep. Any other questions, issues, new business? Nothing?
The
Hearing
19th or
none?
20th are good for me, by the way. It's
The-
Wednesday or Thursday of next week.
20th or 30th, or, okay.
19th or 20th, I'm wide open.
19th, 20th, okay.
So mine.
20th though?
20th I can do.
Okay.
I'm good on the
20th.
20th.
20th is good.
What time are we thinking on the 20th?
What's convenient for you?
What's best for everyone? Is there times that you're not available, Andy?
It depends on my patient schedule that day, but I generally work till 4:30.
Okay. So it'd be after 4:30 is what you're
Yeah.
thinking?
If anyone's free on the 21st, I'm actually off that day,
21st?
the Friday.
I have a webinar, but I can miss that. Yeah. Are we on the record or off the record?
I could do a late afternoon on the 21st.
On the 21st,
Yeah.
early afternoon, like what?
Any time in the afternoon. I just have a hard stop at 4:30.
Okay,
I could also do early afternoon on the 21st.
okay.
We're good.
21st, all right. So maybe let's shoot for, do you have a preference, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock? Anybody?
I'll check my calendar.
Okay, I'll have my assistant circulate, I guess we'll look at a couple times on the 21st and just see what everybody works for everyone. And then that's gonna be the executive session for the eval, right? And then do we also, we wanna, I guess, obviously Aaron to participate in the budget.
Yeah.
I don't know if we do that as separate, like,
it's a
we can
separate
do that the
thing.
following week. Check and see what everybody's calendar's like.
God, it's already Thanksgiving.
It's like, yeah, it's holiday season, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be tough. But we'll see.
We'll get it scheduled. Okay. So you guys are scheduled. Okay. So you guys are scheduled for the executive session for the ED
21st.
evaluation for the 21st.
Yeah.
And then we'll sort out a study session for the budget sometime,
We'll have to do that, yeah.
either the end of November or maybe that
First week,
first
yeah.
week of December.
I'm out of
We're in
town
homes
the
within
first
reach
week
the
of
first week of December, so, and then we're right into allergies.
Yeah, that's where it gets.
What are you guys doing Thanksgiving morning?
Yeah, right. We'll have Thanksgiving
I was
here.
gonna say, I'll Zoom from the kitchen.
None of you guys are like the 5K the morning of Thanksgiving, are you?
Yeah, no.
Unless it calls
I
pepperoni.
did that last year, never again.
Yeah, I did it one time. Never.
I
All
want
right,
to do
we'll
it the day
figure it out.
after Thanksgiving, just punish myself. All right, so, are we good? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Not
Second.
everybody at once.
Second.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you all.